This is the Priestcast. I'm Father Adam Ahern. Father Michael Kuchar, how are you?
I am doing great, Father Ahern. I'm having a blast and a half.
I know, right?
It's such a great...
It's always a great time hanging out with our brother priests and just enjoying each other's company. We're having a great conference with Father Westman.
Yes.
A semi-classmate of ours and current Vicar General for the Glen Mary Home Missioners. A really smart guy. He's giving us a great talk about the importance of reading.
Yes.
Both like mentally, spiritually, and physically. Like how much like actually reading, not staring at your phone like Father Kuchar might be doing right now, but like actually reading out of books and things like that, and the scientific basis for that. But it's also the spiritual basis of that, and it's been really good.
Yeah, he's picking up on a document that really none of us had ever heard of that right. Pope Francis had written shortly before, about a year ago, July of 2024.
Yeah, it was a letter that he wrote to priests.
And well, initially it was only to priests, and then it expanded it. But yeah, just the idea of in the formation of the soul, that reading plays a vital part.
Right.
Reading stretches the soul. It stretches the mind, and it helps us to. I thought a good point that he made was that it helps us to empathize, with other people, and people have the idea that people who read a lot are they're stuffy or they're up on this other level, but actually they're actually more on the ground. They're actually able to better relate with everyone, and that's kind of the point that he was making for us priests in particular, is that if we are well read, we are able to relate to people in a greater way, because
it's a way of engaging in experiences of other people in a way we never could in ourselves.
Yeah, and he had a really good line from Pope Francis in there yesterday in his talk about how sometimes if you're really if you're really having a bad day and even prayer doesn't work, read a book. Yeah. Pope Francis said that. It's that is so true.
It does work, right?
Gosh. Father Ahern, when was the last time a book brought you to tears?
It was actually about maybe 5 years ago.
Really?
I reread Where the Red Fern Grows. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's the story of a young boy and his two dogs. And he grew up in the Ozark Mountains, and his dogs were coon hunting dogs, right? And so it's the story of him getting the dogs and living with the dogs, and ultimately the dogs dying because they protected him from a mountain lion. And dude, it's one of those classic American novels, and just thinking about it right now, I'm kind of getting emotional. We both have dogs.
Yes.
And so just reading this and I have not read that book one time without crying.
Wow.
Full on messy crying.
I got to read this thing.
It's an amazing book. It is a beautiful story and everything like that. So
for me, The Boy in Striped Pajamas.
Oh, that's a good one.
When I read that recently, or a couple of years ago, that was just. And then the other one was The Power and the Glory by Graham Greene. I remember...
I have tried to read that book.
Well, you get to the end.
Okay.
If you get to the end, it's just
I can't get through the beginning.
Well, the beginning is a little slower. But, man, what happens at the end, I'm not going to give it away, but it's oh, my God, I remember just putting it down, and I was I'm a mess right now.
Wow.
But it's the power of the priesthood.
Okay.
And becomes quite clear. And
so you're saying I should try to read it again?
You should force yourself to read. And that's what he was saying too, is that sometimes we just have to force ourselves to do it, to read. Because there's a million reasons why we can justify not doing that.
Yeah. Because
we're so busy. We live in the ADD world. The ADD culture, he was saying.
Right.
Which I think is true. We do live in that.
But the whole point of it is that reading actually gets us to focus on one thing and pay particular attention to that one thing, which is something we don't do in our multitasking world. It's something that we don't do in our ADD, instant gratification phone world.
Yes.
When we read an actual book And what he was saying was that the science has shown that reading on your screen is not the same and actually does not accomplish what reading out of a book does.
Right.
And so reading out of a book allows you to focus and grow mentally, spiritually, in a more profound way.
And on that note, he kept talking about holy attention.
Yes.
And how, and he was kind of using Pope Francis' document as like a launching pad to talk about just like the way, as you say, that reading helps us to focus and have attention and be able to pay attention to the person in front of us, whether that person is a parishioner, a family member, or God. You know, that like we must pay attention. And the more that we can pay attention in prayer, the better we can pay attention to the Lord and all his other manifestations, the people that are around us, the even nature, even creation.
Which is something I found pretty convicting.
Yeah.
Because there's times when I'm sitting with our Lord and I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
I mean, like it happens. Like there's sometimes at Mass when things are going on and I'm thinking about what I need the servers to do next, and I'm not paying attention to what we're doing at Mass.
Prayer, yeah, absolutely. And this leads us into the thing that we should think about for the day, which is from John Vianney. He said that prayer stretches the heart and makes it capable of loving God.
Yeah.
And so this whole idea of stretching.
Yes.
But yeah, prayer stretches the heart, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like that's one reason that we priests are like so strongly encouraged to do a daily holy hour, and why all people should at least do a holy hour once a week. I mean, at the minute, I mean, it's ideally we could do more, but just to be in front of the Lord, because the Lord actually literally will and spiritually will stretch the heart and make us more like him.
Yes, which is what we're all called to be. We're all called to be, little gods, right? Like
little Jesuses.
Little Jesuses, right? We're called to, in our own right, in our own way, not little automatons that just beep boop beep, right? But that I, Adam Ahern, you, Father Mike Kuchar, we are called to be images and examples of Christ in this world.
And conduits.
And conduits of Christ in this world.
Because, and how that works then is that prayer stretches the heart, because in prayer we open up the door of our soul, we open up the door of our life to the Lord so that he can come running in there. And then once he's in there, he can conduit out. I mean, we become a conduit, and then he can overflow out.
It's a spring that constantly overflows, right? The more Christ is within you, the more he flows out of you into.
And I think that's why the saints lived such heroic lives of charity.
Yes.
It's because they were always like Mother Teresa. Look at that lady, and she said, "I only can do it because every single morning I go to Mass and I have a holy hour. Like I spend time in front of the Lord and I receive him. Like that's how he lives his life through me, and my hands become his hands, my feet become his feet. Everything he overtakes everything. He stretches me into something so much bigger than I otherwise would be."
Was it Fulton Sheen who said?
I love Fulton Sheen.
Father, if you say you don't have time for one holy hour, you should do two.
No, that wasn't Fulton Sheen. I know the quote you're talking about. I want to. Everybody should do a holy hour every day. Oh, Francis de Sales. It was Francis de Sales.
Okay.
He said everybody should spend an hour in prayer every day, unless you're busy. Then you need to spend 2 hours. Isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful.
Because otherwise we're so like busy
Yes.
bodies that we are completely useless.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what Father Westman is making the point with reading, is we can't be so busy that we forget to be human. And reading makes us human.
It does. It's people always want to knock the liberal arts and the humanities and artistic expression, but it's through studying them, it's through engaging human culture that we really truly know what it is to be human and be human in the light of Jesus Christ. How much of the arts, the classic arts, are centered and built around the Christian ideals, right? So when we engage those great works of literature, of art, with the Christian ideals as a foundation, we grow and learn how to be humans in the light of Christ.
Yes. That's so true. Well, Father Ahern, it's been a very productive time so far, I think.
It has. It's been very blessed. And what's so great about this convocation is, yes, we do get that interaction with the deeper thought. And, you and I just spent an hour with our brother priests in a holy hour doing evening prayer and whatnot. But then we also earlier today spent a few hours out on Lake Patoka on a boat.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Father Kuchar may or may not have ridden down a slide into the lake.
I did on a few occasions.
So did I.
Didn't you?
I did too.
Of course.
Awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, the first thing you do is you jump onto the second level and jump out. But anyway, yeah, it was so much fun.
It was.
I love swimming. I love boating. It's just...
and it was a great...
There were how many of us? 14?
14 of us out there, yeah. But it was a great way to spend 3 hours without our phones. Did you pick up your phone one time?
I left it in my car.
Exactly.
And then I came back and it was way overheated. It was even in the shade in my car.
But we spent 3 hours... And
not a person had the phone.
Not a person had a phone in their hand.
Yeah.
We were talking to each other. We were swimming. We were being human beings together.
Yeah.
And we were being human beings in the light of Christ.
Yeah.
So.
What was for dessert tonight? That was so good.
Some type of cake.
It had like a custard in it. It was so good.
It was pretty good. I had some. It was delicious.
I may have had seconds. But then again, we swam a lot.
We did.
So we worked.
We did.
We had to replenish the calories.
Unlike some of our brothers, you and I didn't swim to the other shore and back, though.
Yes.
That was...
Father Vianney Gilmore went super far. And then for it took him 45 minutes to go us however far he went and come back. And then I jumped out and I went like 20 feet in that direction. And then I came and I said, there you are. I've been waiting for you. I passed you like 20 minutes ago. I said, remember that wave? You thought it was a boat. That was me.
Oh, my goodness. That is funny.
It was a hoot.
All right, brother. We
got to go to the next thing. So peace out. Talk to you later.
All right, man.
St. John Vianney.
Pray for us. Later, brother.
Later.